Hello and welcome everybody to the Live as Lions podcast, where we are in pursuit to live life wild and free.
That's right. So today's episode is all about what it means to us to live wild and free. You're always going to hear us talking through this podcast about how we want to empower people to live as lions, wild and free. You're going to hear it through our music and our products and services. And we want to be able to take this episode today in order to explain to you exactly what it is that we mean by living wild and free and how we actually want to empower people to do that.
You know, if you put 10 people into a room and you ask them, paint me a picture what it looks like to you to live wild and free, you probably would get 10 different scenarios of these amazing moments in life that are feeling wild and free to them. One person might say, riding my Harley into the sunset, that's what it is to be wild and free. While the next person might say, oh, just being snuggled up on my couch all day, bench watching my favorite show, that's wild and free.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's me.
And the third person might say, I just want to be snuggled up on my Harley riding into the sunset while I'm watching Netflix.
And this is where the first most important part of the perspective of wild and free comes in. So instead of us looking at these temporary events or kind of euphoric experiences, we have always been in pursuit of sustainable lifestyle of living wild and free, something that continues after the episodes are watched or the sunset goes down and the highs become lows. We believe that kind of having gained insight and awareness about yourself serves as a companion through your life to live wild and free.
An important asset defining and pursuing wild and free is to find a individual tailored solution that works for you. There are many how-to books out there and self-improvement books, and while they are juicy and they have really valuable content, there is one part of the equation that needs to be looked at, and that is that the author is a specific personality type, and things that might have worked in their life might work different in your life, or things that come naturally to the author might go against the grain if you are a different personality type.
Oh, I mean, this is like totally our generation, right? Like everybody wants to improve. Everybody wants the self-help and in all these areas of our lives. And we're constantly trying to, eat up more of that. And you're always being recommended by so many people, oh, this thing works and this book works or this training works. And then you try it and you're like, why does it work for everybody else, but it's not working for me? What's wrong with me? Why isn't this method working in my life, but is working for somebody else?
Right. And I think that's where it's important to say what is juicy and what can I take out of this for myself, but still allow myself to tailor it to what I need and what works for me and what feels right to me. What can I do? Because life is messy and life is throwing me different curveballs than the author had to deal with, and therefore what do I need to do in order to deal with it and allow myself to divert from the course, maybe, instead of going, well, okay, now I really applied everything one-to-one to my life. Some things don't work since the author proved already that this is the right way to do it or a way to do it. Yeah.
Right,
and so many people are praising this book. Obviously this must be it. And I can't do it for me. I guess I'm not cut out for the job.
Right.
Right. And there's a danger that you lose motivation and you give up.
Or you rebel against it and you're like, well, there must be something wrong with this information. There's always something wrong with something or someone or me or some organization that you really want to be part of, but because everyone's part of it, or a church or some kind of club or whatever. And you're going, why aren't I fitting into this? Because everyone's raving about it. And instead of just going, oh, because X, Y, and Z, I'm not fitting into it. It's always having to condemn what it is or the information given or the group of people that are doing the inviting you into it.
So, a good advice here is to just follow what Bruce Lee already figured out for us by saying, adapt what is useful, reject what is useless, and add what is specifically your own.
So to break it down into one definition, we define living wild and free is knowing who you are and what you're called to do. It's like having this achieved kind of high level of self-awareness that enables you to tap into inner resources and being emotionally and mentally well and to be able to deal with those crazy life challenges that life is always throwing at you, but still being able to, through that, find your purpose in life.
You know, do you remember the movie Matrix? The Matrix?
No, I've never heard of it.
Well, there's a movie, it's called The Matrix.
Wow, I should check it out.
It's about, the main character is Neo, and in the first part, it's all about this like know thyself, right? Or at least the pursuit of figuring out who you are. And so he's wrestling with this throughout the story, but once he figures out who he is, he just goes berserk because he unleashes his full potential and goes wild. You know, it's like suddenly he's this fish in the water fighting the machines.
Right.
And so it was, once he figured out, once he knew himself, he performed at the peak.
This sounds like an amazing movie. Was it only released in Germany?
Oh, you know, I just read about it last week. I think it must be brand new. I think. I'm not sure.
Well, he sounds definitely like somebody who knows who he is and what he was called to do.
I keep reading on it. I keep you updated, okay?
Keep me updated.
Yeah. Another thing is, wild always comes with free. It's like an old couple going to a party, you know? They don't come alone.
Like you and me.
Like you and me, you know? Or it's like when girls go together to the bathroom, they cannot go alone.
You and I do not go to the bathroom
No,
together.
but girls.
Girls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just want to have fun. So, or like a good old fashioned wrestling tag team, you know? They always come in twos because they need to high five each other and just do the double finishing move.
Is that an official term?
That is, yeah. So wild cannot just come alone; it needs free. Mm-hmm. So while something can feel or be considered wild, it still needs to also be free. And vice versa, while something can feel like freedom, it might not be wild.
So an example of this tag teaming wild and free would be, let's say you have a high-paying job and it allows you to feel financially secure. There's a lot of freedom in that. So you're free, right? Your family, your upbringing, your culture has all said, this is the path that you needed to take to be free. And here you are, you're in this great job and yeah, you're free. But you're not passionate about your job. You're not inspired. You're not challenged by it anymore. And so you don't really feel wild. And eventually you're going to either break into rebelling against it or you're going to submit into it. And either one, submission or rebellion, is going to take away your freedom.
Yeah, or let's say there's an artist who actually takes the bold step to pursue their passion and live as a professional artist, and they're really good at it, and they are wild for pursuing what they live for and what they love. However, financially, they just can't cut it. There's no giving back. They pour a lot of energy into the creative process. They are coming out with fantastic stuff, but they are not good at marketing themselves and selling their stuff. So eventually they don't feel like they have a financial freedom. And they don't feel free because they can't just go and buy new shoes. They can't just go and buy the equipment that they need in order to make the next project. And therefore they just drain and they get tired, they get burned out, and they lose their passion. And it's not just that there's no financial freedom anymore, then suddenly they also stop feeling wild.
Right, they lose their wild. So this is why we believe you have to be both wild and free, because when one area is missing from your life, eventually it's just going to take the other down with it. If you don't know who you are, you won't know what to do. And if you don't know what to do, it's probably because you don't know who you are. Lions know who they are. They don't wake up in the morning and question their identity. They just simply live it. They know exactly who they are and what they're called to do, and they're trained in that. They're training each other. They're championing each other how to be a lion. And they pursue it. They chase it. They hunt it. They go. They live wild and free, and that's exactly who they're called to be, and there's no question in that. And that is why when we say we're calling people and championing people to live as lions, we're championing them to know exactly their identity and who they are so that they can be free to just be wild and go out and live that. Today's episode is sponsored by one of our favorite companies, Urban Drive Style. If you've ever seen our family around town or in the forest, you've probably seen us cruising on our Urban Drive Style e-bikes. Urban Drive Style is a rapidly growing Berlin-based e-mobility company that offers e-bikes that are cool, versatile, and affordable. Their DNA is to reinvent and rethink what bikes and personal mobility should be able to do. These e-bikes are rigorously pragmatic, making you question if you will ever need a car again. It's German engineering at its best.
Oh yeah.
Yet they are as practical as they are sleek in design. With full-length seats like the mopeds from the 70s, great for friends and little lions to ride along with you, a giant vintage-inspired headlight, and gear that offers radical functionality, these e-bikes shine bright and make heads turn. If living wild and free for you means more mobility, eco-friendly alternatives for transportation, having fun and looking cool while doing it, then we couldn't recommend a better product for you than the e-bikes from Urban Drive Style. Use code LIVEASLIONS for 75 euros off your next e-bike purchase. That's LIVEASLIONS for 75 euros off. Ride wild and free, Lions.
Let's have a look how this practically looks like. Liz, what would you say? How does it look like for us to live wild and free as a family?
Well, I think we've had our fair share of experiencing not feeling like we fit in multiple times in multiple areas of our lives. I mean, we're a little peculiar. You know, we are an international transracial family. We're creatives. We're artists. You're HSP. I'm dyslexic. We've got visually impaired in our family, and we're all a little bit of misfits. But we have found oftentimes in our life that constantly just saying, oh, we don't fit in, you know, there's no space for us, there's no place for our family or our dynamics, that really hasn't led to any kind of freedom in our lives, and it's definitely not empowered us to be wild. But us really digging in more to who we are, all of us individually, has really empowered us to say, wow, I am uniquely made, and there is a place for me in this world that comes from that identity of knowing who I am. So we, you know, in our kitchen right now, and it's kind of always been, there's this sign that says, your power is, there is only one you. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we really believe, that the most powerful thing about you is you, that there is no other you than you. Mm-hmm. And everything about your personality and your identity is exactly what, you know, falls exactly into what you're supposed to be doing with your life.
Right. It's like getting on the horse from the opposite side.
What?
You know, like instead of saying, well, I want to get on the horse, but I might not be, I guess I'm not fitting in, or I don't belong, or I can't identify with everybody else, you know?
Right, yeah.
You come from the other side, instead of saying like, well, I guess that's it. Which is a negative perspective of it. And you come from the other side and you say, no, it's not that I don't fit in, or that this is not for me. It's
Mm-hmm.
just that, and this is not the end of my story. This is like, no, this is the beginning of my journey to find how it needs to look like for me, because it's out there. Right. And it's the whole spiel of thoughts determine feelings, and feelings determine actions. If you think this is it, you're not cut out for it, you give up. If you think, no, this is an exciting journey to find it all. The treasures are out there, you know, and I need to go get them. And you get on the horse from the other side, you know.
From
what
the
I mean?
other side. No, that makes sense. And I think it's always just, it first has to start with the acceptance of who I am is exactly who I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then that falls into what I'm called to do. And so for us, practically speaking, when it comes to any area of our lives, we are always asking ourselves, is this empowering me individually and us as our family, as our pack, to be wild and free? That falls into what our careers are and where we live and the schools that we put, you know, our child in, and the community that we live and commune with. Does this empower us to be wild and free? And it's first coming from the place of knowing I am all these things, and I need to be very aware of what I'm allowing to influence my life, because I'm responsible for it. And if that's not empowering me, then I'm not going to be wild. And if that's, you know, not championing me, I'm not going to be free. And then I'm not giving to the world what it is that I have to offer. I'm not in a healthy place. and I'm not in an empowered place.
Right. And this is where our coaching comes in, to not tell everybody this is what you need to do or this is how it works, but more going in and being like, what do you need? What kind of resources are inside of you that you just need to get access to, or you need to be aware of in order to thrive and unleash your full potential. So instead of just showing you need to go here and you need to do this and this is where the treasure is buried, it's more like, okay, where you want to go, I'm with you. Okay, you want to go this way? Here we go. I help you along the way. And then that's okay. Find the treasures together. It's more a tapping into what is already available to you and get access to that to unleash full potential, but that needs awareness, and it needs this, oh yeah, moment. That is me. Now I understand, that's how things work.
Mm-hmm. So if we were to go back to the examples of being wild but not free, and we were to take that businessman, for instance, the one who feels really free in his job because he's financially stable, but it's not something that he's very passionate about, so he's not feeling wild. A possible approach in coaching would be to have an Enneagram assessment of his personality type. Side note, if you don't know what the Enneagram is, that's totally cool. We'll talk about it more. Feel free to contact us, or you can just look it up right now after this episode. So through that coaching assessment, he would be able to identify for himself that he's an Enneagram 2, which happens to be my Enneagram. And then through that coaching, he would find, okay, I'm an Enneagram 2. That means I'm a helper. I need to be in contact with people. I need to be in a place, an environment where I'm appreciated and I'm pouring into people. And then through that coaching assessment, he would eventually identify and define a better vocation, or possibly other areas of his life where he can be fulfilled in that, so that he would be living a life where he feels wild and free.
Or let's say the musician, who might be highly sensitive, but is not aware of it, or is aware of it, but has a lifestyle which does not cater to her needs.
I wish I knew somebody who was like that.
Yeah, me too. I'm an HSP, and I have good juicy stories about the challenges of an HSP. So feel free to reach out to me if you have more questions about that. But let's say she's continuously comparing herself to other musicians in the industry who seem to perform on a way higher capacity, and that makes her feel like she's not good enough, or she can't compete, and she doesn't meet the mark, and she simply can't cut it. Instead of just giving up or getting into the cycle of I'm not good enough, or I can't cut it, or I can't keep up, it is way more important to be aware, okay, I'm highly sensitive. Therefore, I need to have a realistic assessment what that means in my everyday life. How many hours should I really work? What should I focus on? What do I need in order to decompress? How can I create a healthy work environment and a healthy work-life balance to thrive in it instead of feeling always drained?
Absolutely. So I hope that this paints a better picture for you guys of what we mean by saying living wild and free, really helping to empower you to identify who you are so that you can figure out what it is that you're called to do. How are you going to live as a lion in this world, and how are you going to empower the rest of us to live as lions as well?
If you want to live more wild and free, and if you would like to receive coaching in order to achieve that, please don't hesitate to reach out to us for more coaching. Check out our resources on our website, as well as follow us on the social medias, on podcast, on Instagram, and be part of the journey becoming wild and free together. We are still becoming more wild and free. We're still learning, but we also are further down the road and might be able to share what we have learned with you. And we are also certified in coaching, and we have tools and methods that can empower you on your journey.
That's right. Okay, Lions, thanks for joining us today. Be wild and free.
Eat schnitzel and sauerkraut and potato salad.
I had to do it.